So you also mentioned when Abhilasha ma'am was questioning you that you really like how you have a work-life balance because you work 9 hours and they have definite work timings. What if after marketing and your MBA you land up at a job where there is not a very good work-life balance and you are working more than 9 hours a day? How do you think you will be able to manage a sudden pressure because you haven't clearly faced that pressure at your current job? So how do you think you'll be able to manage?
Well,
Good morning.
good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, Krishna Priya Nayak from Odisha.
Yes, yes.
Where in Odisha do you belong to?
Bhubaneswar.
Okay. Bhubaneswar, Cuttack.
Yeah, my mom is from Cuttack and my father is from Bhubaneswar.
Okay. So you belong to Bhubaneswar. You stayed there or?
Yes, I go every year in my summer. I used to go in summer holidays.
Okay. And
So
currently you're staying there?
I'm staying in Noida.
Okay. You've done your engineering, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Passed out in 2019.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're currently doing what?
I'm currently working with
You're
Infosys.
currently working with Infosys. And for how many years?
Yeah, it's been almost 2 years.
Almost 2
Complete.
years.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. What are you doing there?
I work in Google Workspace and
Mhm.
I work with clients and I actually expertise in email with Google Workspace and I help clients to resolve their issues with email security, workflow, and if they are having issues if the email is not working, which is very crucial for work to go on. So we ensure that it doesn't go down for them and we help, we provide technical support for them for Google Workspace.
So do you enjoy working at Infosys?
Yeah, it's a good experience, working for Google Workspace, which is being used for by so many people around the world. So it's a
And your work must have increased after the pandemic.
I actually like the work culture here. It has not increased. They have definite work timings, so we work 9 hours only,
Okay.
and that's definite.
Oh, that's wonderful then. It's very interesting how some people have found the pandemic to be such a curse and others have found it to be such a blessing, right? Okay, our farmers found it quite a curse, huh? The pandemic period was very bad for our farmers.
Yes, yes.
You've been reading about it? Any
Yes,
updates
yes,
on
I-
that?
Currently, they're still protesting, and they are there at the Gazipur junction. Yeah, and they want the farmer laws to be repealed.
Mhm.
So it's still there, though it's not being up in the news anymore. But it's going on.
So have you read up on the farm laws?
Not recently.
What was the issue all about? Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the farm laws were about the issue that there were these 3 laws that were introduced by the government and the farmers were against it. The main concern that they had with the MSPs, minimum support price, which the government wanted to remove and wanted to have this to be privatized so that private competitors could come in and they could give more a different kind of prices to the farmers and they could just like the open market, the farming sector could also benefit from that, and that was the government's incentive for bringing these laws. But the farmers that are protesting, mainly from Haryana and Punjab, they do not want this. They are happy with the old thing that had started with the Indira
So
Gandhi
why are the
government.
farmers unhappy with this? Because it is apparently a wonderful change and it will change the lives of the farmers. So what is it that the farmers are protesting?
They actually do not have faith with the private enterprises, giving them the correct price. Maybe for the starting, they'll give huge prices to them, more than the MSP, mostly to all the farmers. They'll start buying it from them. Then the government will, continue to decrease their prices, stop buying it from them. And then suddenly maybe the private players can then decrease their prices to buy the crop for them. So they are apprehensive about that because it happens with a lot of industries. As soon as private players come in, even in the this UPI sector, like the UPI payment thing that went on. So after that, as soon as the private players have come in, they have they have their own rules and regulations after that, and there's no government regulation. And recently, only a law has come to control and curb up on it. so that everybody has a good share of it, and only the private players can't overtake all of that. So that is what the farmers are really apprehensive about. So that's their major concern that I could read upon.
Okay, so do you think privatization is not really a good thing? Because right now the government is trying to privatize everything.
Yes.
And do you think it is good for the people, or is it like really, really bad? Can you name one country where privatization has really worked?
Well, USA, as you know, the giant of the world, is like it. It's one of the most privatized countries of the world, but it has its own share of problems that they have, because the poverty line and the people who are rich, it has a lot of gap in between them. So the richer get richer and the poorer get poorer with time. So it does come with challenges. But of course, capitalism and privatization has given people opportunities to earn. It has given jobs. It has made people's life better. So every kind of infrastructure, every kind of thing that is introduced through governments or in the world has its pros and cons. So the farmers should be given a chance to explain themselves. And I think the government is not listening to them or their options, more focused approach. So they should be given a better chance, to put their point forward, I feel.
Pretty logical. Okay, I have one more question for you, because I see you're working in internet and all of that, and you're working in Google Workspace and all of that. So I'll just ask you one more question. So right now there's this controversy going on about WhatsApp, right? And again, the government is having some issue with WhatsApp and with Twitter. What is that all about?
Okay, yeah. So the government has introduced a new information security law recently that asks Twitter, WhatsApp, and all the other social media companies to have grievance officers for them to address grievances of the public. Also, they have introduced some points in the law that they want to know the details about people, the concerned people they think that may be involved in some sort of criminal activity or are held under vigilance under the law, to have their data retrieved completely from these companies. So these companies have raised their concerns that they'll have to break their encryptions completely, and that will go on to give their algorithms completely to the government. So which is a clash point in between them. Though Twitter refused, it also went to the court and all, but I think so they have come under it and have accepted to comply with the law now, by the pressure by the government.
So do you think that is going to impact the working of companies, all the digital media giants like Facebook and Google and all of these?
Actually, it's kind of a two-edged sword that I feel, because there are, to protect people's privacy, there are laws in the Europe and everything that protect their privacy like anything, and WhatsApp follows them there, and it's going on still, and they have good collaboration with the government. Only maybe I feel that social media companies do not want to cater to these laws, because that would affect their revenue, it would affect their profits, and as there were laws already in some countries, so they had to comply with them. But our country like India or the third world countries were trying to introduce such measures to help protect the privacy of customers. I feel that will affect the revenue stream for these companies, that they are the third world countries are, especially India, provides a lot of revenue to Facebook and WhatsApp. They are the same company. Sorry. So I think because of that they have been protesting, but because government is above all, so they'll have to comply with them on some basis in the future.
Okay, wonderful. Krishna Priya, tell me a little bit about your hobbies.
I actually really like to read, so I read constantly.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So in lieu of the preparation, I started reading other things also, which I was not aware of. So that was a blessing, I would say, because I was only focused on reading fiction. I started reading when I was in class 4th. Okay. So yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah. So I enjoy reading. I love reading. I also have a mini library of my own at my place.
Okay. So name your favorite author.
Oh, that's a very difficult choice.
Name your favorite 5 authors.
I actually really like Jhumpa Lahiri. I like her. I like Khaled Hosseini. I also J.K. Rowling is their favorite of all. So it's a cliche. She's a cliched author to be liked, I guess. And Sidney Sheldon was one of my favorites when I was a kid. So when kid as in like in my teens, I really liked reading him. And then there is the recent author that I really liked was Yuval Harari, who wrote the book *Sapiens*. I've read that, though I was not, because I've started reading non-fiction recently. So there's some authors that have popped up.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for all the lovely answers. I will come back to you at the end of the interview and ask you one final question. But meanwhile, we'll have the other panelists also.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. Krishna. Tell me, Krishna Priya, I mean, you have worked in account-based marketing, right?
Yes.
You have worked as a marketing executive intern. Tell me something about account-based marketing.
So account-based marketing specifically is, as it says, it focuses on a specific account, as in the company that we're dealing with, and to streamline their incentives to have a better base around their areas. So the marketing is focused on specific accounts and not overall on if like I worked with healthcare and life sciences in Infosys for a while. So in that, we focused on only one company and we worked with that company and we helped them, have events, their specific marketing events, specific campaigns that we organized for them, like LinkedIn campaigns and Facebook campaigns and all that. After that, they had, as companies have their own specific events to be organized. So we helped them to organize them in partnership with Infosys, and
Okay, so you have also worked as a content intern in Learner's Tech.
Yes.
It's a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
How many subscribers are there on this channel?
It was a very small stint I did for a few months for a friend.
Okay.
It doesn't have a very huge subscriber base, but I wanted to see how video creation and content creation could be.
Okay. So, did you learn something from this experience?
Of course, sir. I actually went into video creation. I, curated the content. I edited the videos also for the.
How do you produce content? I mean, what is the strategy that you follow to produce the content?
First, we actually said the kind of customers that we were trying to, reach out. So I made a roadmap about that. Then
tell me something, and any particular video that you have worked on and you have produced the content for that video.
There was this video that we worked upon how nowadays online education is hampering children's growth. How it's affecting their daily healthy lifestyle. So on that, I researched, I found some facts. Also, the person who was, making the video, he also had his ideas and all, and we created this whole video idea. And in that, we actually, it's something
Can you elaborate more on that idea? Can you talk about the complete content of that video?
Yeah. So in that, sir, first, in that we talked about how the pandemic has become a boon and a bane for children, because there were so many children who were not able to study before this revolution came in of ed tech. But after that, it has become difficult for very small children to cope up with the studies, look at the screen all the time, which has contributed to health issues and everything. So first half of the video, we talked about all these issues, and later we talked about how these can be coped with, because this is what the new normal is for now.
Right. In your skills, you have given the rating of 80 out of 100 to Python, right?
Yeah.
Tell me something about this language, Python. What is Python? What is Python used for?
Python is used around, in all the industries right now. It's a very simple language to learn, and also, easy to develop and learn. And
what is data framing in Python?
Data framing.
It's a term related to Python. So what is data framing?
Actually, sir, I worked with Python a long time back, so
Right.
I'm not really comfortable with it right now.
It's okay.
Problem.
And why MBA now? I mean, what makes you think that MBA can help you in career?
Once when I got into my BTech, after that, it took me a while to have a knack of things and all. And with the years that I learned and everything, I understood that I do not have an inherent knack for computer science, the core computer science, like coding and everything. But overall, in a sense, I can understand concepts and I'm good at it. Still, I took a chance to work in the same field to know, because the studying life and the work life are very completely different. So I took the job offer from Infosys and I worked, and I still feel that inherently I do not have a very strong hold in the coding field or in the computer science field, but I like the field overall. So I want to go get into some kind of work where my technical skills can be used. I also do not have to go into majorly core technical areas, and some kind of communication and interpersonal skills could be merged with my technical skills.
So these are the skills that you want to learn through MBA.
Yes, I want to.
Okay, which field you are looking for? What do you think? Which field in MBA will help you in getting these skills? Communication skill is something that you can,
Yes.
easily develop, and by talking to people and working in different fields. What are the specific skills in MBA that you personally think will help you in, establishing a career in corporate sector?
So actually, as I worked with the account-based marketing for a while to explore if I could do well in it, and I wanted to go and work every day in this.
I want to know the field that you want to work, that you want to do your MBA in. The field.
So right now I'm looking for marketing specifically.
Yes.
But once I start, and I'm going to keep my options open, and when I join, I would like to see what suits my personality the best. But right now, with all the experience that I've gained, I feel I might be a very good fit for marketing and communications field after I do my MBA.
Okay. Which one is your dream college for your MBA?
Yeah, I actually want to land up in MICA, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's great. Okay, tell me the name of the 5 companies that visited MICA last year.
Sorry.
Okay, what's the average placement package?
The average placement package is around 15 to 20 lakhs.
Okay.
That's what MICA offers, and the highest, I guess, it went up to around 50 lakhs last year.
Okay. Do you think it's a good ROI?
It's definitely a very good ROI, but but I don't want to join MICA for the ROI. I want to actually learn, and I want to do something that really suits my personality. Could look forward to the next 20 years, and not for the
how
next
marketing
5 years.
and communication program of MICA is different from any other general marketing program like from IIMS?
Okay. So actually, MICA has gained its name and has a very crucial expertise in marketing and communications, and they have made a name for themselves in this. And they also focus on taking people not only on academic skills, but also people who are open to new things, who are creative, who want to explore new things, and that is what has attracted me to join that college.
Okay. Do you see a difference in the profile that companies offered in MICA and the same companies that they offered in IIMS or any other V schools?
Yes, so because MICA has an expertise and focused in marketing and communication, so all the companies come specifically to hire for those kind of positions. So I feel that I'll have all of the things on my plate to choose from, and not my area of choosing will not decrease if I join the college.
Okay.
Just one question. What are the profiles that MICA offers? What kind of profiles would you get placed in after MICA?
There is this product management, marketing consultant, marketing, all sort of marketing profiles, and product management also is some of the profiles that they offer. Marketing consultancy.
That's only good.
Okay. Tell me something about the Coffee House web development and Java project that you have done.
So I developed this in the 3rd year of my college in my summer internship that I had with Soprasteria.
So are you comfortable with the Java language?
I've not been working with it after 3rd year. I just with it in the project, sir.
All right. Thank you, Krishna. Over to you, ma'am.
All right, Krishna. So I know quite a lot about you from what I've heard. Okay, my first question is very simple. Do you like your current job?
I actually like it, but I would like to have something more added to my profile. And I do not have an aversion towards technology or working with it, but I would like to have some more dimensions added to my profile or my work.
Okay, what is one thing that you love the most and one thing that you hate the most about your work stint with Infosys or with Infosys as a company?
The thing that I really liked is the kind of the enablement the company provides us, especially to collaborate with people, to learn through them, and they do not pressure us about that if you don't know, you should have known beforehand. It's all right. You can always learn and you can grow with the people around you. So that is what I really like here. So if you're fresher with the content completely, you can learn it from the start, and nobody will judge you or question you about it. It's just that they want at the end of the day you are able to reflect on it properly on your work. And the thing that I did not like is the kind of the kind of collaboration or the kind of communication that they have. It's I feel it's extremely professional, so it could have been a little more easier. And but overall, I do not have any complaints with the company.
Okay. So you also mentioned when Abhilasha ma'am was questioning you that you really like how you have a work-life balance because you work 9 hours and they have definite work timings. What if after marketing and your MBA you land up at a job where there is not a very good work-life balance and you are working more than 9 hours a day? How do you think you will be able to manage a sudden pressure because you haven't clearly faced that pressure at your current job? So how do you think you'll be able to manage?
Well, I am looking forward to handling more pressure at the B school.
We'll make sure that you do that.
Yes, I'll make sure that I do that, because as you climb the ladder, of course, the pressure increases. But in the long run, I would still prefer a work-life balance. But in the starting, to grow and to learn, I don't have an issue with the pressure.
Okay. Also, I see that in your resume, you have a lot of, you have a flair for writing, I think, because you've done content writing internships and content managing internships. You also are a reader. So don't you think that because you are a person who's bent towards marketing and, things like love for language, love for writing, working in the corporate world might not suit you? Don't you think that you will be a misfit down the line, maybe after a few years?
I actually, I'm not sure about it, but because the fields are enlarging with the companies continuously, and of course, there's content marketing also, that is a major field nowadays with every and other company. So maybe I could go down the line and work in that. And I would also like to try and work with the books industry later, like Goodreads, and it's something that I'm looking forward to after 10 years to work with.
Okay, so now that you are, you have a bent of mind towards the creative side, do you think that what you've done in your BTech and SQL, Java, etc., that you HTML, CSS, Google Workspace, the things that you mentioned that are towards the technical side will get wasted, or, was it a waste of time? Do you regret doing it, or you want to keep it as your backup option and you're open to it?
Actually, of course, if like everybody cannot like everything that they do beforehand. So I do not hate all of it and I do not like all of it. But for sure, because the whole world is working on technology in every field and every aspect. So having technical skills and to be aware of it completely will of course help me in the long run. And I'm open to learn also more. No problem in that.
All right. My last question to you is, could you please explain to me in layman terms the project that you've done regarding human activity recognition using smartphone data?
Yes, ma'am. In that, we worked with machine learning on a very nascent level. In that, we took heartbeat data for a lot of people from online sources,
Okay.
and we process that data, and we try to analyze through the heartbeat of different people, the patterns and all, to recognize if they are suffering from some kind of disease or not.
Okay.
And to have that project that we did was to create a small project to help doctors to use that to help diagnose patients earlier. So that is what we had intention.
So is this through an app, or was it a?
It was first we just processed the data to find out if we can connect it with the diseases.
Okay.
And after that we did create an app but it was not a very full functioning app because
All
it
right.
wasn't.
Okay, I think that will be all from my end.
Thank you.
Ma'am, do you have
Yeah,
a question?
I do have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. 3 reasons why we should select you. Quick.
Okay. First, I'm hardworking. I'm open to challenges and open to learn new things. And as I've also worked in the
So I thought that was 3.
and the third one. First one, like I'm hardworking. The second one, I'm open to new things. And the third is that I have gained experience, and I've also worked in marketing to be sure about if I'm a good fit for this college. So I think that should be good reasons to
All right.
select me.
Thank you so much. You may leave.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Have a
everyone.
good day. With respect to Krishna Priya's interview, I will share my feedback very quickly. One is that whenever you come to the room and the panel asks you to sit, it is after that that you should be able to take the seat. So ideally, you walk in, you greet everybody in the panel, and then you either wait for them to ask you to take a seat, or if you're comfortable, you could very politely and humbly ask them if you can sit and if you're allowed to sit. So that was one thing where I think Krishna just forgot and came and took the seat very quickly. So there could have been a pause, a proper greeting, a permission, and then you take the seat. Another thing is that whatever you write in your resume has to, be in your mind, and you should be ready with all questions with respect to what you are writing. So if you are mentioning Python, you need to know about Python. You shouldn't be answering things like, I haven't worked on this or I have forgotten this, because it's mentioned in your resume. The panelists expect you to know about it in detail. Also, when you are asked a question about your dream company or your dream college, you should be prepared for all sorts of questions related to it. You cannot say that MICA is your favorite college without knowing about their alumni, about their networks, the programs that they offer, the fees they have, the placements they give you on average or the highest, the companies that come there. So, because otherwise it shows that you are not just prepared for it, and you probably are doing some guesswork, or you are not researching and not working for your dreams. So I think everything that is written on paper should be backed by facts, and you should have complete knowledge about it. Abhilasha ma'am asked her a question in the end where she had to mention 3 reasons why we should take her in the college. She mentioned 3 reasons but counted them as 2. So I think you should be very careful and aware about how many points did you answer and how many has the panel asked you. So she mentioned open to challenges, she mentioned open to learning, and of course one other point that she was comfortable sharing. So when it's 3, it's 3. You do not count them as 2 and try to give 1 more, because it unnecessarily stretches the interview. Also, a feedback, the overall feedback is really nice because she was confident and very comfortable talking, but still you should not be too comfortable with the panel and, bow down on the seat, keep your hands there and talk as if you were talking to people in a cafe. You should be behaving like a candidate, sitting with your spine straight and not encroach on the table, because the table is the college and the panel's property. You should not get too comfortable because it may come across as slightly ill-mannered. So barring that defensive approach and little body language that needs to be corrected and some facts that she needs to learn, overall it was a decent attempt. I hope all of you will take these points in consideration and work upon them accordingly. Thank you.